All right, let's get her going on this Friday. It's the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. It is the Leaf Hour edition of our program. Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick, Nick Kypreos, Sammy McKee, and in for a Justin Bourne. Live and in color, in studio today for the whole 2 hours. Your friend and mine, Mr. Gord Stellick.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Put your hands together.
What a difference a week makes from when I last came in last Friday.
Especially on our Leaf Edition hour where the roof was caving in.
Yeah, well, yeah, it really was. But we said they got to figure it out. There's no cavalry. There's no whatever. Pretty good week.
Sammy?
Yeah.
You got a little smile on your face? You're feeling pretty good?
I'm basking in the afterglow of an electric World Cup draw today, which
Give us an update.
saw Canada draw Qatar, Switzerland, and the winner of a European playoff, which could be Italy.
Are we happy about that?
I would have preferred Wayne to draw, someone that's not potentially Italy in our last ball. But, yeah, I think it's pretty cool that the Friday, June 12th in Toronto at BMO Field could potentially be the Italian national soccer team, the Azzurri, playing against Canada, and the Jays and Yankees playing at Rogers Center that night.
But two countries move on, right?
And so it's
from the division.
Yeah, so
and then some wild cards.
Yeah, two teams at the top of the division go on, and then I think it's the most points for the other third place teams. But got me thinking about some people around the city that are going to have a lot of interesting decisions to make when it comes to Canada versus Italy.
Absolutely.
No thoughts on that?
No, I'm good. It'll be fine. City will be great. Traffic will flow. It'll be awesome.
We were at the draft in 2004 in North Carolina, and you said we got to go get a Greek flag. Remember that? Greece was killing it in soccer. We were driving with all the SPORTSNET guys. Yeah. So all of a sudden, because it's Italy, it's no big deal. But when it was
I'm
Greece,
a Greek Canadian, by the way. Right?
I get it.
And we did not find a Greek flag in North Carolina, by the way.
Not a Canadian Greek. I'm a Greek Canadian.
So let's, for example, say that it's Canada versus Greece, Friday, June 12th.
Yes.
You get a ticket.
Yeah.
You're wearing the blue and white?
I'm not face painting, but I will have a souvlaki probably in my hand.
I struggle with that.
Why? Why do you struggle with that? Why?
Because I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be, born in Canada, Canadians that have Italian parents
I'm
that are going to.
Canadian, I get it,
Yeah,
but it's my motherland, and you guys can.
I don't know.
You guys can win. A lot of soccer games.
No, I mean the thing is that I don't know. We don't need to get totally into it, but I just think it's a little bit.
I'm Greek that day, bud.
Yeah, no.
Really?
No, Sammy, you got to understand the positive part is it's been growing, the Canadian soccer movement.
For sure.
But decades ago, it was non-existent. Like that was your last tie. Like I'm half Czech, half Scottish.
Yeah.
And I would be intrigued about, then it was Czechoslovakia, now it's Czechia, and it's still Scotland.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like playing. That'd be my one little tug for my mom and my dad. Okay. So no, I think there's an element that's kind of neat that you can celebrate your roots.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean you're dissing Canada. What do you mean?
That's not how I take it.
What do you mean? Well, that's right. You're entitled to your crummy opinion.
I just think if you're born here and Canada's playing at BMO Field,
I know.
you shouldn't go there and cheer for Italy. That's where I'm at. I just think it's wrong. That's it.
We do not agree.
Yeah, we're going to have plenty of time to
we got lots of time.
over the next 6 months, right?
All right.
Almost 6 months.
Yeah.
To the day.
And to be clear, it's not a disappreciation of Canada. Correct, Kippy?
Correct.
Like honestly, because it's been such a sensitive topic over the last year. We want to make sure about that.
See, my first thought is when you ask me who you're going to cheer for, it's like, well, I'm going to ask my mom and dad first. And then I'll tell you.
Yeah, but they're born in Greece.
Yes, they are.
For sure. So allowed
I
to
still
cheer
have
for.
to ask them.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you're from Italy and you moved here, of course you can cheer for Italy. But if you're born here, it's a little different.
Oh, wait. Now, wait. You should have more. You should be more gratitude coming here and cheer and go the 180 because you saw it out coming here.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an interesting angle. But I think if you're born,
it's just what I made up.
I think if you're born in Italy, you can cheer for Italy.
Let's go with it. Are we all?
We're good.
We're fine. You're fine though, cheering for your Toronto Maple Leafs, who we've said it all along, just win 3 in a row, and you're right back in it.
Yeah,
and that's what happened last night.
Well, again, like last Friday when I was here, and you guys talk every day, of course, it was the part you couldn't believe was they were still in it. They were 4 points out of it. They played terribly, right? And you're still 4 points out of a playoff spot. And so it shows. Now, the big thing is there's a crowd. There's a crowd of teams. It's crowded. But in the Eastern Conference, if you win your games, you can make the playoffs. West, a little tougher. But if you win your games, like the Leafs should, the kind of team they had last year, and this last week was the first time all season they showed that. They showed the depth. They won by big margins. They won on the road. They got excellent goaltending. 4 games in a row, you get the first shot, you score a goal. Can't beat that.
That's as wild a stat as you're going to see. I would be really excited today. I'm not going to lie if it wasn't for the Joseph Woll.
Well, listen, it's a big part of the Joseph Woll situation. Last night's win came heavy with a price.
What's your guess, Kippy? You're good at seeing as an ex-player, like your gut feel. What's your gut feel
on Joseph Woll?
Yes.
My gut feel is that we'll be lucky to see him before Christmas.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So it'll be interesting. They were off today, so there's nothing for them to report. But do they dare come out and say that he's day to day?
Well, particularly
what world do you live in where a goalie pulls his groin and he's day to day?
Yeah.
So
particularly a goalie.
So a groin injury for me is much different from a goalie.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say minimum 3 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, me and Bunkus on Leafs Talk last night, I asked him, I set the over-under at a half game played before Christmas, and Bunkus wouldn't answer. He didn't want to jump over it, but I thought it would be pretty surprising to see him before then. I mean, he missed when he got a high ankle sprain, remember, 2 years ago? And
no, that was a groin.
Was it? I thought there was one where he missed like a bunch of time. Maybe 2 years ago, not last year, but 2 years ago where he's out.
I think it was a groin when he was scheduled to start the season.
Last year.
Yeah, last year.
And the year before that, it was a high ankle where the half wall, and he missed like half the season with it as well.
He's had something every year, right? He said something like Freddie did.
I think this is a recurring thing, though. The groin seems to be constantly creeping up on him.
So, you still want to trade one of them?
Let's get
you
Craig.
Cursed. You cursed.
Listen, everybody thinks I jinxed the goalie situation last night with my Toronto Star article that I said, just get these guys healthy, get Stolarz back in, and be in a position of strength by the March deadline with these guys. That was the whole gist of my article.
Right.
And apparently I jinxed the whole thing because I not only didn't get Stolarz back, but I pushed Woll out the door with his groin injury. Is that what you're insinuating?
I mean, of the 100 DMs I got in the last 24 hours, that they're talking about it, that's for sure.
See, they should have published my article instead of yours about the unappreciated John Tavares playing in a vacuum again.
Okay, let's go to Craig Brewery's overview of the game.
It's there in the queue somewhere.
And we'll pick this up. Well, there's plenty on the bone here when it comes to Joseph Woll. So let's go to Craig Brewery for his oversights.
Yeah, it's a tough building to come into, I'll tell you that. They put a lot of stress on you with shot volume and things. We blocked some shots and battled and, scored on our chances that we got.
There you go. Very exciting stuff from the coach.
I know it was debated whether or not Joseph Woll should have started last night. I'm a big believer of what you were trying to say last night with Hildeby and giving Joseph Woll a break here.
Mm-hmm.
I just had no idea that a guy could be off all summer, take training camp off, come back for 10 or 12 days, and pull his groin. Like, for me, you want to have that same conversation after 2 or 3 weeks, even a month later, I'll listen to it. But 11 days to pull your groin when you've been off that long, to me, is just mind-numbing.
He did play a little training camp, I think, whatever maybe. But the point is, you had to start him.
I don't know,
Okay,
Gord.
but anyway, the thing was, you had to start him. Like, you got to ride the hot hand, and then you say, okay, if you didn't, well, then it's a ticking time bomb situation about if it's a recurring groin thing, it's going to happen at some point. And to me, there was a no-brainer that he had. Why did he say Hilda be supposed to start?
Yeah, he did. And I give him credit because he looks good.
Sorry,
he looks good now. He
I'm
does.
I'm thrilled. I'm right. Great. What a smart guy. I
Boy.
never wish I was the wrongest guy ever.
isn't it better, you know, how weak this guy's groin is
Yeah, play him when
early
he's hot.
December than in April again?
I mean, here's the thing. As much as, like, you know, you mention it, it's pretty, I'm kind of sick of this stuff where watching these games and not really knowing from period to period, from game to game, if you're going to be able to have him there, it's just a tough existence as a fan and I'm sure as a coach.
But that
Like,
is
I'm
the
sure-
world of Joe Wall.
I know.
That's the world of Joe Wall, period, whether he played last night or not. You
No,
know, but the other reality is
It could have happened in Montreal, Gord. Like, it could have happened on Saturday night, right?
But we're talking about a team that got back on track in large part because of Joe Wall. Otherwise, we could be talking about a healthy Joe Wall and a team now that's losing vision of where the playoffs are. So, I mean, moving forward, yeah, it's an issue, the health part. What he did, much like when he came in against Boston in the playoffs, he had a phenomenal playoff that time. So that's the nagging, that's the tough part, that the injury, every year you got to consider an injury is probably going to happen. But also, when you really needed him a couple of times, he's really come up big.
Let's go to Craig Berube on the uncertainty in net.
What's it been like handling some of the uncertainty that you've dealt with this year in goal as a coach?
Well, I mean, this stuff happens, and you know, you just handle it. Told Beast he's going in, and he did a great job for us.
He loves Beast. He loves saying Beast every time he refers to him.
Okay, this stuff does happen, but not like this. I've never seen anything like this.
Well, how
in
does it
terms
compare
of-
to Freddie in Toronto?
I'm just talking. When I say like this, I meant Stolars and Joseph
Oh,
Woll.
okay.
I put them under one blanket now.
Well, and also one of the best, going by 1 year, small sample, but the 1 year last year, one of the greatest goaltending tandems in decades for the Maple Leafs. There's never really been a tandem like the kind of goaltending they get last year. So all of a sudden, bang, bang. That when you have great tandem, you always think depth is going to work in your favor, and instead it's two strikes and you're down to your third strike.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Freddie. His last year was definitely sketchy, but I mean, he played almost 60-something games for a few years in a row there, which may have had something to do with him missing time in his last one. But, I mean, this is why they're both make what they make. This is why they both aren't, you know, huge ticket goaltenders, because there's uncertainty with them.
because they don't play 40 or 50 games.
This is the worry. This is where the value lies, where you think you're going to get them for less, and the second that you need to kind of lean on one of them, it's just gone. Like, I mean, they talked about Stolars. He's still not on the ice. Wall now, it's going to be Hildeby and Aktiamov in the most important stretch of your season here against a bunch of really hard teams. So it's just a tough pill to swallow, I'm sure, for everybody.
Neither of them have a resume of any kind of resume of being a number one goaltender for a long period of time.
Wall or Stolars, you mean? Yeah.
Neither. Yeah. So you look in the division, Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky, even Jeremy Swayman has more of a reputation as being a number one guy for a period of time.
Then why sign them to 4-year deals recently?
Well, the money. The money part. It's a great trade-off. You know what I mean?
But it leaves you like this.
Well, yeah, but it's not.
The money's irrelevant now because they're just not available at all.
Well,
whether they're making $6 million or $2 million.
Well, then you got to go out and get a better goaltender.
Well,
they're your best two goaltenders.
Is that where we're at right now? They got to go now and go get another goaltender. Well, I had 24 hours ago. I had them all healthy and potentially trading one. Now they got to do the complete opposite and go maybe spend an asset and get one.
Brossoit, you saw earlier this week that he was available for Chicago. They're looking to unload him.
And he's got another year on his deal at 3.
No, this is last year.
This is last year?
Yeah.
Well, okay, it's kind of like Kevin Lankin in Vancouver. Whatever. It never hurts. It's kind of what they did with Troy Stetcher. You know, you're basically saying we're not scouting a particular goaltender. We're looking for an NHL body.
Yeah.
Okay. And Troy Stetcher, what a great NHL. If they were healthy, they're not looking at him in the slightest. When the waivers go up, they're not claiming him, but all of a sudden they had a hole. So, yeah, in the goaltending sense. And again, Stolars, now, did he have a setback or just Carlo? Or what? Like, I mean, it seems like it's a while, right? He's not close, correct?
We don't even know if he's on the planet right now.
It's a mystery.
Is Austin Matthews healthy?
Does he go to the rink? Does like Luke Fox see him at the rink?
I could text Luke and ask if he's seen him, but it's just every time they ask him a question, the coach is incredibly dismissive about it and says no update, not on the ice. So that probably tells you all you need to know.
A while. So yes, you should look for a body. As we know, we talk, big name goaltenders generally don't get traded. you talked about Tristan Jarry to Edmonton or those kind of possibilities, and nothing's happened. But bodies, there's that carousel always of goaltenders going on waivers all the time and try to pick them up. So, yeah, if they're going to be out for a while, you got to do that.
I would say, though, that I do have a bit of belief in Hildeby from what I've seen to start this year. I don't think, like, last year, if this was the situation, you'd be a lot more scared. But wouldn't you both say that he's been a lot better this year than he has in last? Like, you can maybe
I think he's by time for sure.
You could paper over a week here, potentially, if he can give you a capable – like, the last two times we've seen him was against Pittsburgh, and last night in the third he was good.
Yeah, I'd have to see him Saturday night against Montreal before I decide whether to give it a week or not.
It's fair.
He could seize the opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
That's what James Reimer did. James Reimer was not. James Reimer was the accidental number one goaltender because he seized the opportunity.
I believe the way they're playing right now and what we saw out of even that third period, and that couldn't have been easy for him to go in last night as well.
No.
And he showed poise.
Yep. Agreed.
And yeah, give him Saturday night and see where you're at and see where the team's at. And if he gets lit up, can't finish the game, then you're in a position, I think, as early as Monday to go start really searching for somebody temporary.
So we're talking goaltending. There's a lot of positives to talk about.
Yep.
A lot of positives to talk about. Depth, Lawton, Max Domi, the guys, the snot guys, right? Instead of worried about players with snot, players that are kind of good third, fourth line players. Them being the difference makers, not just last night.
Yeah.
It hasn't been about Austin Matthews or Nylander or, whatever. It's been about what you felt was lacking in the playoffs against the Florida Panthers and what you hoped you had addressed. Now, the jury's still out about it, but it's the first good week I've seen that.
I don't think it's a coincidence that the bottom six has looked as good as it has all year and they've won 3 in a row. Like, this was kind of, when Treliving sat down in the summer and kind of mapped this out, I'm sure this is what he thought it was going to look like, where you have depth scoring, Joshua starting to look like a player, Waz coming around, McMahon's found a role in that line, Lawton and Lorentz seem to be paired well together. It's a real feeling bottom six, and then you pair that with the stars in the top six. That's what it's supposed to look like. But yeah, pretty encouraging game.
It is, and Craig Berube feels the same way. Let's listen to him on the changes from the start of the season to now.
Start of the road trip, sorry.
Oh, road trip. Okay.
Yep. Good 5.
I mean, after a road trip, you come home, you got a day off, and then we got to get back at it against. I think when you look at from the start of the trip to now, just the confidence with the puck is in a way better spot, more than anything.
Where'd that come from?
I mean, I think we talked about it, puck possession, making some more plays, and wanting the puck a little bit more, like working for each other, and I think they've done a good job of grabbing that and going with it. So it's just, showing video and talking about it, and then more so like working on it in practice a little bit more too than we have.
What have you two seen differently?
I'll start with their own zone. So obviously with the goaltending that Woll kind of provided when he came back, I think gave them a lot more confidence to be a lot more aggressive in their own zone. For me, for whatever reason, those first 20 games where they were a split second late on their checks in their own zone, and that just seemed to buy enough time for your opponent to pretty much have their way, whether it was to rotate it back up to the points or rotate it back into the corners on a cycle or take it to the net. Like I'm watching Florida and Carolina last night, not much time. If they were able to get a puck possession, there's times when it's on the perimeter and they can do a couple of circles, but they're not ever getting it into those high danger zones that we saw so early in the season.
Yeah, because it's funny. We talk about, first of all, the offensive zone doesn't exist if you don't get out of your own zone, right? So, you're not going to get a chance to. And that with the new players, I think in a lot of ways, when you just don't ever get going, how can you ever find your niche? So to Kippy's point, and I think I mentioned this last week when I was in that as of last week, I was looking at the team last year that came first in the division and expecting more of that, which we've seen last week. We were seeing more of those two horrible Game 5 and Game 7 thumpings by the Florida Panthers. And one of my most vivid memories was Chris Tanev with the puck in his own zone and all of a sudden looking up and then signaling the guys because he's saying, guys, like I can't do it with the puck. They're on me. They're on me. And it was a playoff game, right? And it seemed like that was a lot of how they played early this season about just that thing about let's get it out smartly like we've been doing all year. And Troy Stetcher's a guy that's coming just kind of at the right time, and it's just sort of maybe the simple little things. Let's get it out. And Kippy, I agree with you about 100% that is the subtle little thing that they did really well last year. That you think you looked at the D, they kept all their D for a very good reason because the D as a unit were showing that they came first place last year, and that was a big part of it. So, Sammy, I think that's number one for me.
It's funny, Stetcher. 24-23 last night, led the team in ice.
Yeah.
And was a second off from leading the team in ice against, who was the one they played before that? Against Florida. So.
Yeah, it's working right now. There's no real sense that it will continue. But if he can be somewhere between what we see now and eventually if these guys get healthy and back and he can find a place in the top 6, he does provide, again, something that we haven't seen earlier in the season, and that's agility, quickness, make a good first pass, kill plays. I mean, it's looking good right now.
For me, what I've seen is that he's made McCabe that much better in terms of playing on his right side, on his correct side, on the left, and that's just opened him up a little bit more for me. So. Maybe it's not so much of what Stetcher's doing for himself, but what he's doing for McCabe. They seem like they have chemistry. And Oliver Ekman-Larsson has been really good. Say what you will about Morgan Riley. He's been good offensively. We all know what's going on with Morgan Riley. But it feels like they have two real pairs now. That's made a big difference. So.
Kippy, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can,
So
Gord.
everyone's been ask this question. Oh, by the way, I'm in a curling bonspiel. A guy named McBain from Donalda.
John McBain.
He coached tyke hockey with you?
Yeah, he did.
Good coach? I'm going to see him later. Can
Not
I bust
really.
him? No?
No.
You carried him?
No,
Okay.
but you know what? Fun guy.
Okay. We'll find out. So,
just kidding, Bader.
So the whole thing, because you would have gone through it, like being a healthy scratch.
Yeah.
Whether it's Max Domi, whether it's Joshua, whatever it may be. So when you like I have no problem with it. I can see it. And it's not like Berube's relishing it. And I actually think if you have extra players, even if you're winning, I like keeping it going a bit. But how do you take it because they go, wow, okay, Nick Kypreos will sit in the press box and maybe he'll learn. Well, are you just going to stew and get pissed off? Do you just understand it's part of the game? Does it put more pressure on you later on? Did it make you play better when you played a game when you thought you shouldn't have benched? It did.
It did. It escalated the sense of urgency for me because you're a fringe player. You don't know on any given night whether you're going to be in or out. So your focus is ultra high. The intensity is high on that. But, it depends on who you are and what place you are in. And there's so many little factors going in there, including job security, contract security. All of this stuff comes into play. But here's the bottom line on a healthy scratch for anybody. It's how do you feel about the way the coach looks at you? Because there are certain guys, and maybe Joshua felt this, that he, at the end of the day, the feeling that he had about Berube and the head coach, that he honestly believed that maybe through a conversation that you need a reset and you're going to be the player that we all know that you can be. And if you have that feeling, then you could use it as a positive and your energy can come back and regroup. But then there's others who are healthy scratches when they just know the coach hates me, doesn't believe in me, and in a perfect world would like to see me traded or disappeared or sent to the minors. When you start believing that coach has no faith in you and that he has no time for you, which coaches often can send that vibe and that energy without telling it to your face, then you're done no matter what.
But are the players generally correct when they sense that vibe? Or is it like people that come home from
I
work?
think everybody has a pretty good idea of whether or not the coach really likes you or not, or is just, pissed off at you for a short period of time, or you're in a situation where, some of your better players in the league are going, hey, you need me a lot more than I need you. It all depends on where your status is on the team.
So, Max Domi, did you raise eyebrows when that happened? What did you think?
I believe that for Max, he knows how talented he is, and he is. He's a talent out there. At the end of the day,
first round pick.
He's a 12th overall pick. He can make plays. We saw again a beautiful pass to Austin last night. I believe that Craig Berube needs Max. He can't lose him right now because there's no other alternatives. There's no other guys that can step up and be that talent and play with Austin. And I'll include Michelli in there. I think Max is way better than Michelli. Yeah, he has more to offer.
Totally agree.
So, that to me was a reset.
Well, when you describe, it's funny because you were describing the two different types of healthy scratches, and all I could think of was Joshua and Michelli, where he knows what he can get out of Joshua. He knows what he can bring on the bottom half of his lineup. He's the guy that he wants to wake up. And then you hear him talk about Michelli, and he's like, yeah, he wasn't no good. We're not changing a winning lineup. Those are the two differences for me when I listen to it. The healthy scratch with Joshua has 100% unequivocally worked. It has worked. He's been his best 3 games that he's had right after that. And Domi's been better since too. So you got to give the coach credit for doing that.
Well, the other part, you have to give the general manager credit in that. I don't know how it works here in Toronto, but in general, general managers get very, I would say ego, whatever. But when they make moves, it's kind of like, Kyper, what are you scratching for? It makes me look bad. Okay. I got these guys, whatever, and they haven't got going. You got to get them going.
Yeah.
Okay. Screw embarrassing. You put them up there. That pisses me off. Okay. Now I look bad about went on, and people start, oh man, look at the money they're making.
Yeah.
Their money collectively is what Mitch Marner got, and then all of a sudden a week later we're thinking different. So that is to me a good sign of a coach and GM in sync, because that doesn't happen everywhere.
But that conversation could have happened 3 weeks ago, where a guy like Brad could turn around to Craig and say, maybe Craig's thinking about scratching Joshua in game 14 or 15. And he's like, no, you're going to make me look bad. Though you go to 17, 18, 20, it hasn't turned. And then finally you're like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do it.
You got to be in a position where you've tried everything, which they did. And this is it. But, the onus is on the players too. It's like, okay, you've come back. Even Dakota, he's come back. He's played 2 or 3 games. Okay, what's next for the next 2 or 3 games? Do you get your comfort zone back? Do you get your safety blanket back? Do you go back to bad habits? And we all have bad habits. The questions are,
that's for sure,
who can avoid them the most, right?
Yeah.
And once you get in your comfort zone, you don't want those bad habits to come back where you don't worry about finishing a check. I'll get it next shift. Well, maybe next period. And it's like, now you've regressed back again. So that's Joshua's biggest challenge here, because that was the problem in Vancouver. It's like, buddy, we know how big you are. We know how strong you are. You're a handful when you're completely on your game. But they got tired of waiting every 4 games to see it.
See, because one thing I thought Berube did really well, again, when you win a Stanley Cup, nothing goes wrong, right? Whether it's you, 94 with New York. But when the St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup, if you remember, guys like Sammy Blais in that, he had 15 forwards for the 12 forward spots. And he had a knack of just throwing a guy in, like Sammy Blais for 2 games.
Yeah.
And then he'd be out, but he would contribute, He threw in Gunnarsson on D, right? When he got an overtime goal or something, right? So because probably that was Craig Berube's role to a bit. He pretty well would dress every game, I would think, because of his toughness. But understanding, and I don't like seeing guys. I don't see I ever want to see. And Frankie Corrado never liked the Frankie Corrado treatment by Babcock. It wasn't fun at all. Whatever. So I've liked his feel in the past, about being able to do that. And I think that would be a good thing with the Leafs right now. And we saw a little bit over the last 8 or 9 days.
Yep. What was going to say, Matthew's game last night, scored, blocking shots. Think he's coming around a little bit. Thought he looked pretty good last night.
Yeah, I think, listen, I don't know whether or not we're ever going to see what we've seen in the past or the team's even built for him to do that.
Mhm.
But he draws a lot of attention, and, you get a guy like Max who can put a pass together, and, he's got the ability to shoot it in the net.
Knies was pretty fabulous last night, too. So
That one play. Well, I think with Austin Matthews right now, for whatever reason, you thought you'd be talking Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews for 10 years. And you're not right now. And that's not a
Yeah.
okay, still doesn't mean if you're not the third best NHL
Yeah.
player, that's not being any slouch. I still never know if he's healthy or not. There's always that mystery, but whatever. That's going to carry on.
Yeah.
We're not getting any clarity.
I mean,
But he's Austin Matthews
when,
still.
when you're scoring 60 and almost 70 goals a season, and you've got these stretches of 11 goals in 9 games and back-to-back hat tricks and multiple goal scoring games, I mean, doesn't appear like that type of stretch is coming anytime soon for Austin. But I don't know if the team's built that way anymore for him. And the one thing with Marner is that you had that ability every shift to just have your stick on the ice ready for a potential scoring opportunity. They seem to be a little far and few right now for Austin.
And there's also still the feeling that regular season, hey, the ship has sailed about 9 consecutive years in the playoffs. It's been great. It has not worked in the playoffs. And when we get there, like we don't care about 70 goals in the regular season so much anymore. He needs to have a Vladdy Guerrero type playoff, right? Like just has to. Like that was a constructive criticism of Vladdy when you saw him getting picked off at second base a few years ago, and that to all of a sudden putting the team on its shoulders in the playoffs. And that's every team that wins. It's the best players. You can talk about the depth that make a difference, and that hasn't happened here.
I was promised no Jays talk, Gordo.
Do we want to get Bruby on Matthew Knies? Because I don't think we've really given his goal enough.
Let's play that.
Well,
Craig
he's been
Bruby.
really good this whole trip for me. I thought that line was really good tonight. They carried it, in my opinion. Thought they did a great job, and not just on the score sheet all around, I think Matthews had 6 blocks and did a great job killing penalties, and but the whole team contributed. It was a good team win.
Okay, that goal was
Big time.
ultra spectacular for obvious reasons. It's just the brute strength. Like he looked like a running back that was not to be denied. Going into an end zone.
Yeah, and what all these talented players we haven't added Toronto is the Gary Roberts, the Darcy Tucker, right? And Knies has some of that, right? The one guy that can do it that way, the bull in the china shop way. And it's also showing Kippy, and this is why I said there is no cavalry. You cannot trade any more draft picks. Okay, you cannot trade draft picks for broken down players because Matthew Knies was a great second round pick. I got Easton Cowan and you got nobody. You've got to keep those guys coming. And excellent pick taking Matthew Knies, whatever it was, and so that's the other part of it because you still have to develop from within.
Yeah, I mean, Sebastian Aho tried to make a play on him, and he just bounced off of him. Like, you just forget sometimes how strong he is. And, he's over a point a game to start. I can't tell you I expected this much production from him. I mean, he signed that contract. You expect some production, but I didn't expect him to be this high. And still a little bit more physicality out of him, but he's been lighting it up. So.
Sammy always wants something more, doesn't he?
I do.
Yeah.
But, Kipper said it a million times, too. It's not just...
Yeah, listen, he's not Gary. He doesn't have that edge. He doesn't have Darcy's edge or but he's got, 2025 edge, I guess.
Yeah, well, but the Leafs played a team like Florida that had that.
Yeah.
And that was a difference. And they know that.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. Sammy, you want to?
Let's take a break, and we'll come back and we'll do Leafs line.
We got Leaf line on Friday, and you got $100,000 to give away, don't you, too?
Way more than that, bud.
Way more than that. Ooh, we can't wait. All right, that more when we return to Real Kyper Bourne and Gord Stellick. Welcome back in studio. Real Kyper and Bourne. The Kypreos, Sammy McKee, and in for Justin Bourne on this very Friday. Gord Stellick.
Before we get to the lease line, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Before we get to the lease line, who wants to win a bunch of cash while doing the best thing this holiday season?
We do.
Okay, Sportsnet 590 The Fan is all in of supporting the 50-50 Fortune for Sick Kids. It's a 50-50, so the more money we raise, the more kids we can help, and the more holiday cash you can win. The current take-home prize is over $308,000. Buy your tickets at 5050fortune.ca or text the word money to 590-590, and we'll send the link right to your phone. 18 plus, please play responsibly. Standard message and data rates may apply. Lottery license RAF 1518410.
Sammy's gone on record a few times about Frederick Anderson, but I actually felt bad for him last night.
I mean, holy.
It seems like every time the Leafs play, man, he cannot come up.
I mean, he hasn't come up with a save all season this year.
No, he's having a tough time.
Having a really bad year.
Like if Carolina is going to be taken seriously, do they not have to go get a goalie?
Well, boy, Antti Ranta, all those things. You've always wondered that Kochetkov, that they've never had the wow goalie, right? They've never had the Shesterkin, or whatever it may be, and they've got by. I don't know. They've got by. Now, they talk about, Tulski said, they're always looking bold and big, and you can't do much better than Rantanen last year in that vein. So it's just interesting. They seem to be one of those teams that has not put value on a big-time number one goaltender. Because I don't think he is a big-time number one goaltender. To agree with you, I guess.
315 goals against this year and 875 in 14 games.
And they just re-upped him, I think, for 2 more years.
Was that this year they did that?
I think so.
I'm not sure. Let me double check.
I think so.
It's not a big number, but anyway.
How about that?
See, I'm not. I don't care about the numbers.
I don't stop the puck.
Right,
Stop
and
the puck.
even listen, even here in Toronto with
he signed a 1-year, $2.7 million contract extension on May 3rd, 2025.
If it's like what I said before, if you believe in somebody, you believe in them, and I guess they still believe in Freddie after all these years. Just to go back to the Leafs situation here, where Stolarz still had a last year on his old deal this year. Mm-hmm. I had this conversation with Justin Bourne saying, just why race to sign him to a 4-year deal? Why not just take it to Christmas and just, if he's off to a great start and he has a career year and he could look like he's headed towards 50 games and playing healthy, maybe you could justify then bumping him up to $4 million or $5 million if you had that sample size. But without any proof that this guy can play more than 35 games, why do you want to sign him to a 4-year deal?
Well, again, first of all, when I talk about the money, because the money just means if things don't work out, it doesn't screw you on the cap. That's all I mean. I'm kind of looking at but first of all, like Anthony Stolarz, my reaction, a lot of people said was, wow, I thought he settled for less. You look at his stats last year and even the previous year as a backup in Florida.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd been a career backup. I get it. He'd been a career backup year after year, basically. But, his body of work, and also he had not had a history of being hurt because mostly he was a backup goaltender. So he had a little bit of leverage, Kippy, and you're going to lose him as an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah.
And I did not have a problem with the contract.
I understand.
Here's a question. I guess if he's a UFA, is he still, like, how much is he pushing through something? How much is it's a different animal?
Great point, Sammy.
You never know.
If he was now in a situation where he didn't have a contract for next year, how quickly would he be racing back to get his net?
No, but wait. So wait, aren't there medical people that make those decisions?
I don't know.
Right?
We don't know anything. We don't know anything.
I know that part, but I can't believe the medical people would say, "Oh, you're a UFA. You can come back 3 games earlier."
Listen, there are times, Gord, when it's not definitive for the medical team, and then it really comes down to you and how hard you want to play through something. And
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
And I don't know where that is for him. I'm not suggesting that he's faking or he's in a comfort zone. That's why he's not playing. I'm just saying that we do know that there's a certain line, especially for goaltenders too, where ultimately they are pushing real hard to get back into their net. And if that's the case, then you wait for that green light. But I don't know what's going on here. So
Yeah, I don't know, but also if he's pushing to get back and he's done 100%, it's not doing the team any favors.
or maybe he's not pushing to come back. Maybe he won't play at 80% or 90%. He needs to feel 100%.
Well,
I've played with goalies like that before, I can tell you.
Well, that's where, and I always talk about, and that's where when I talk about the value ex-players bring, but you still wouldn't know the dressing room because you've been in a dressing room.
Yeah.
And that's where it's real. And that's the one and only spot, exactly what you're talking about. Otherwise, I'm just guessing. But you're right. If you have a number of players like that, that's not a good thing.
If he was in the last year of his deal right now, what kind of contract would you be thinking about signing him right now?
Not the one he got.
Wait a sec. First of all, okay, we got to wait for the year to play out. Okay, so obviously.
Okay,
if he
hold on. You just answered the question. You wouldn't sign him right now. You'd wait for the season to play out.
Oh, if he's hurt, yeah, totally.
Well, just imagine now if he didn't have a 4-year contract.
Well,
what would you be thinking about?
I'd be thinking I was glad that I didn't sign him and get criticized by Kippy, on the Kippy show for signing him.
I'm just playing both sides
devil's
here.
advocate, but no, obviously when someone gets but hey, I have no problem the commitment, the confidence, goaltending. He was a pleasant surprise last year, and I'm going to look at that, and he's got a chance. When healthy?
What isn't the pleasant surprise? What isn't a surprise is his inability to stay healthy his whole career.
Well, I see, because he's been a backup. It doesn't jump out at me because he's not been the guy. He's usually been the guy filling in when the starting goaltender gets injured. So yeah. So right now, you're right. Right now, as it appears, that a big fly in the ointment is two hypothetically Leaf goaltenders, a great goaltending tandem that one or both are going to be injured way too much each season. That remains to be seen. But right now, that's what you got.
Quick Leaf line. Let's go to Andrew in Nova Scotia. Andrew in Nova Scotia. Sorry.
Calling into the Larry, Curly, and Mo show. You nimwit.
Gord, do this when he does that.
Are we back, baby? Go, let's go!
I'm not saying we're back, but there's lots of people on the Leafs line saying we're back. All right, let's go to Nick in Brampton.
Would you guys rather the Leafs get a guy like Alex Tuck as a winger to play on the top line, right-handed shooting winger? Or do you think it'd be more beneficial to get a guy like Nazem Kadri to play 3C and then move Lawton up in the lineup and kind of create more depth that way? Love the show. Keep it up, boys.
Well, Naz Kadri comes as 2C,
Yeah.
not 3C,
He's moving to the 2C.
right? Good question.
Yeah.
I like Tuck.
I like Tuck for Austin.
Me too.
Well,
And I think that's a nice wish list right there.
Sir, first of all, the first caller sounded like Shemp. Okay, so he didn't sound like he sounded like.
Are you Curly?
Yeah, he sounded like Shemp. Okay, so this is what I loved about taking calls is it's the fun list. So right now it's like, would you rather have $1 million or 500,000? Like what you have them both on your team. What's it going to cost? Kadri,
Just play along, Gord.
I'm playing along. So to me right now, depth wise, to get that center Kadri would, and also he's got the it factor you don't have.
Yeah,
Tuck hasn't played in playoffs. But Tuck's a huge talent.
Listen,
Ask McKee what Tuck.
I like
Tuck and McCabe's relationships like.
the center ice is 200 feet.
Yeah,
right,
so
200 feet.
He's going to be somewhere else.
Kind of hang out.
The owner in Calgary is kind of saying it. Oh, we want to know. You got to make a good business decision. Of course, he has no trade.
Center, no question, is the more important position.
Let's go to Glenn from Kemptville, Nova Scotia.
I keep hearing Kyper and Bourne talk about Binnington going to Edmonton. Binnington needs to go to Toronto. Toronto needs a goalie that consistently can be available to play. And Binnington's that guy. And he's got a resume. And perhaps he's what they need. a nice fiery goalie in the net, setting the tone in the back end. And to me, that's who they need to get, because with all due respect to Woll and Stellick, those two never seem to be available when you need them. Or when they get hot, one of them goes down. I say bring in Bennington,
Ooh.
and who cares about Edmonton? And if they have to, trade Woll to make the deal, because Woll, they'll give you a half a dozen games, and then he's gone. That's how I feel. How do you gentlemen feel? Thank you.
Well, more interesting is the Woll's from St. Louis.
Yeah. Yeah, and even more interesting, I believe the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs may have won Lord Stanley's Cup with Jordan Binnington.
Would you do that?
Do
a package that would include Woll going the other way for Binnington?
Oh, jeez. Well, it's hard. No, I wouldn't answer your question. I wouldn't. I mean, I respect what Jordan Binnington's done in the Cup and Canada last year. How can we not respect? But
I do it.
Yeah,
I do it.
You do it.
I do it. Yeah,
Okay.
and it would be based on I'm tired of goalies getting hurt. I'm tired of their reputations of always being hurt.
So,
I'd rather take a guy that.
But he's healthy on a team that's not going to make the playoffs, and he hasn't really given them good goaltending.
He's a big reason
particular year.
He's a big reason they're not going to
right now. And I don't. I hesitate. I'm not being any way, shape critical. I just said if you're trying to upgrade your goaltending in the regular season, I mean, hey, sometimes you got to change some things, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you got to change some things. So in the sense, and all of a sudden, because it's funny, the one thing Paul's with Stolarz was he seemed to have some intensity, but it didn't make sense at his own team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the year started with him calling out his team, and then remember that?
It's almost as if that was the point where everything
kind of went to hell.
Totally went sideways on him.
Well, it's kind of like Austin Matthews last year. We had too many passengers at that final game, and then Stolarz, like there's just been sometimes just so in a very media frenzied place. Some what? Say what?
We never did find out who he was talking about.
No, it just sort of it gets unchallenged. Whatever.
Let's go to Jed from Manitoba. Jed from Manitoba, did I put that in?
Was last night the first time that the Leafs had the same lineup on back-to-back games? Could be helpful going forward, but no Woll, so won't happen again.
Well, Jed, if it wasn't, it sure felt like it.
Yeah, it felt. I think we've been watching a guy use the blender a ton, and it's felt like the blender slowed down the past couple games last week, and they've been able to get some chemistry. It's led to some results. So I think you're right. I think it may be the first time. Feels like the first time.
Didn't Austin Matthews have 10 different wingers or something like that? In the first, or there are 10 different combinations in the first.
Just leave Max with him. He wants Max.
I totally agree. It's not perfect, but just do it.
And I think that's another reason why I think things are starting to settle down a little bit. When your big boys turn around and say, "Okay, I've had enough," then you gotta lean on them a little bit. You gotta trust them. You have no choice as a head coach.
Do you think Austin asked for him?
I do. Yeah, I do.
I also like seeing whether it's Nick Waugh or just Scott Lawton get a couple goals. Like all of a sudden, these guys that why you got them, you could see them fitting now.
The other thing too is
get a bounce like that, Kyper?
we've been involved in the game a long time, Gord, and you as a manager, like you need some bounces over 82 games. You need the bounces right now and just the feel you didn't get in the first 20 games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what is it now? How many consecutive games? First goal?
4
games.
You get a bounce off the glass.
Not first goal, first shot on goals.
No, I know that. And then the second goal last night goes off the glass.
You ever get a bounce like that?
It's no.
That's a
no. I don't get those hockey god bounces.
You never got one. Never got a hockey god bounce.
I probably have.
Didn't the rink in Peterborough have square corners? You didn't bounce it off the corners there?
Yeah, it was like a bathtub, that thing in Peterborough.
Well, what did you get, 60?
62.
Yeah,
Gord.
62.
I think you got it.
Yeah, he was a sniper.
You got a bounce or two that year, brother.
All right. That's Leaf Line. We go national next, including an update, an Olympic update.
From you?
Yes.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Stick around. All right, let's get her going. It's the National Hour on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, 960 in Calgary, and streaming always on Sportsnet Plus. If you miss our show, you can always download it at your earliest convenience, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. In studio today, Jason Bukala, Pro Hockey Group, Sportsnet, former NHL scout, and now
Jason Bukala. That long walk down from the W Hotel just about killed me today.
And now superstar 80s singer of We Are the World.
That's right.
You
Feud is the lead singer. I'm backup.
So today you guys had to share a mic on the show, right?
We did, yeah. One of the mics went down, so Feuds and I were sharing.
Yeah.
Gordo's mic there.
So if you were an 80s superstar, like who would you have been on that show on from the song?
Oh, like from the actual video. Jeez, that's a tough.
Like who would you go? Who would you like? I for sure would be Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, I was just say Springsteen.
Yeah, I mean you got to go Springsteen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to think. Bon Jovi wasn't in there, was he?
Oh, you
so.
could do Michael Jackson. No,
I don't know.
I'm sorry. No,
No.
Lionel Richie.
I could do Lionel.
He was kind of the leader of it all.
Seen some of your junior picks, maybe Stevie Wonder.
There it is. There it is. There it is. Let's open up a Pandora's box here.
Well, we sure appreciate you being in the studio.
Yeah, I'm really
Usually we got some knucklehead from PEI or
rails,
Florida,
yeah.
but he's got the sniffles today.
Nobody toughs it out anymore.
Nobody.
No, they don't make them the way they used to.
Not even close.
No, I hear you.
Not even close.
What are you
So
gonna do?
really, really appreciate your time. We're opened up, obviously, here in Canada, coast to coast. Where do you want to start, Books, in terms of storylines as we get towards a Christmas holiday coming up?
Well, World Juniors is on the horizon. It's always an exciting month for prospect pool. The kids that have previously been drafted. But what I'm really excited about this time around, guys, is the draft eligibles that are coming to the World Juniors. As everybody knows, it's usually been a 20-year-old tournament. It still is for the most part, that older group of players. But this year, when you can take a look at the McKennas and the Verhoffs and the Stenberg, I can't remember, Gord, the potential top three picks in the draft, all playing at the World Juniors.
No, it's been a while.
In my history, and I think that's really exciting. I think that I'm curious to see what Canada's roster looks like on Monday when they announced it. But, geez, the power play should be an absolute wagon when they put it all together here.
What about some kids on NHL clubs now going to this tournament here? The name Kindle in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
What are you
I don't
hearing?
think Kindle's going to be released, personally. I don't think so.
He's got 7 goals.
Yeah. I think he's got at least 5. He might have 4 or 5 on the power play. Like him and Sid seem to have a little synergy going there. And I don't see Kindle being released. I see Brennecke possibly from Pittsburgh's prospect pool coming. I think Michael Misa. I did a thing on Michael Misa today. I really believe that it's the right move for San Jose to let him come to the World Juniors. The one thing that's really delicate with prospects, as everybody knows, is that they have to play games. Like, you can't just practice and work out. He's coming off an ankle injury. He's been assigned to the Barracuda, San Jose's American League team there for a conditioning stint. But kids at that age, they can only go down for, I believe it's like 10 calendar day, five games is what it is before they have to be recalled, or you have to make a decision on him, send him back to junior. So that buttons right up to the World Junior training camp. So I see him going to the Barracuda, get back into it. I think high leverage situation for Misa to come back and then go back to San Jose after that, because he's already played 3 years in the Ontario Hockey League as an exceptional status player, and he ran away with the scoring title last year. There's nothing more for him to do at that level, but Team Canada would be a real good fit for him, for all of them.
No, I would think all NHL teams are like, I think the Shane Wright experience really shows about a real positive, right, for Seattle, about trying to find something different and the growth and what he did there. Are there any NHL teams you think that are still leery, just totally try to dissuade, whether they worry about injuries or whatever, from their top prospects playing in the World Juniors?
No, I don't think so. I think, in my experience around, well, especially our player development group that was in Florida, and now listen, they were high-end competitors, Brian McKee, Chris Pronger, Roberto Luongo, and Dale Talon always believed that they should go to these high-leverage events because there's a takeaway, isn't there, Gord? Like, you have to, it's playoff hockey for 2 weeks. You're going to, win, lose, or draw, something is going to be taken away from that experience. So I don't think that teams look at it that way. I would say this, though, if I had to default on that, that college programs, because of the lesser schedule and it's more, all the games are meaningful, but when you're only playing twice a week and you got that condensed schedule that the college teams have, I guess they would be a little bit more leery of it if in a selfish way. But at the end of the day, they're going to get a better prepared athlete out of the experience.
Nick Kypreos, Gord Stellick, joined in studio with Jason Bukala, Pro Hockey Group, and of course, Sportsnet, former NHL scout. All right, Olympic.
You said you have an update, Kippy.
I do. Of course, the NHL and the NHLPA has been in regular correspondence with IIHF and IOC. I was told there was a Zoom call today, and both the NHL and the PA have been assured the building will be done.
Okay, that's something. Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad, because we've all been talking about it forever. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I think, did you guys, so Pete came on this week, right? Peter DeBoer came on. Was it
Yes.
Peter Shore or whatever? He was with you guys too, wasn't
Yes.
he?
Yeah, both, yeah.
So was there a misunderstanding in the dimensions of the rink? Was that in relation to a IIHF size facility or an NHL size facility? Because there seemed to be some confusion with that 3 foot.
My understanding, it's the European model.
Okay, so we're pretty close to an NHL size anyways, right?
Tell me something, though. Like,
There's
okay,
three sizes, by the way.
Like, where's it going to be most felt? As a scout, where would you think, after all these games of watching all these kids play the game and assessing where their strengths and weaknesses are, where is it going to be felt the most? In the neutral zone, behind the net? Where's 3 feet going to be felt?
Well, if you divvy it, I mean, the game's played so fast anymore. I guess I just, anything that you take away in the neutral zone without a red line, where it's that sprint between the blue lines, that's going to put more duress on the defenseman. You're not going to see maybe as much. You might see them giving up the blue line a little bit more because of the fact that even 3 feet like that, I know it doesn't sound like much, but at NHL speed, that's a lot of room. That's a lot of space. And so if you're not long with your stick, or if you're not taking the proper route, so I think you might see them defer to zone entries a little bit differently. If that's the case, that would be my guess. Just because of the speed aspect of it.
Yeah, with the 3 or 4 or 5 feet, are they going to squeeze it in the neutral zone? Is that the assumption? But
well, that's what I'm curious about too.
That's the other. But I got to say, so we had Pete DeBoer on our show, NHL Morning Skate. But when he was on with you guys, it was like groundbreaking news. But it turned out Doug Armstrong had actually mentioned it about a month ago.
Yeah,
that he was aware of it.
But I don't think anybody heard it.
But it it didn't. And it sounds like no one listens to Doug Armstrong, but they listen to Kyper and Bourne. That's good. They got their priorities right. So
I love how Sammy's just cracking up over it. Yeah. He's lying on the couch, his feet are up. He's laughing away.
Studio audience of one. Studio audience of one.
But they wanted you release it on a very popular show. That's what you want to do.
Yeah, yes. Understood. Yeah, but we were jammed on my show, so I said give it to Kippy. So apparently metrically this works out. So the IHF said here are the specifics in meters, whatever. So it's not like a surprise, like, geez, what idiot here was 1 yard shy. So anyway, whatever. It just sounds like the NHL and NHLPA didn't know until they listened to your show. They didn't listen to Doug Armstrong. So it just kind of, whether they were caught by surprise or not, it kind of sounds like they were.
Does it make a difference on who you take now?
No.
What about Tom Wilson? 3 feet less for Tom Wilson. Like, you want to get out of the way of Tom Wilson.
So I guess if we preface the question as, in my mind,
nowhere to hide now in this rink.
Yeah,
it's,
Kippy's put Max Domi on his.
Okay, good for Kyper. And that's why Team Greece isn't playing in IIHF for gold medal in hockey, I guess.
One Stevie Wonder joke, and now you guys are all over me.
That's what it is. Tom Wilson's on my team. Like, I have him on my team
Got to be.
I mean, not just I guess looking in. I'm not even resting on my laurels based on the Four Nations necessarily, guys, because that was a whole different event. You could drop the gloves, you could do different things. Of course, you're not going to be able to do that here. But listen, what else does this guy have to? This is a modern day power forward. 3 years ago, Gord, I probably would have said, I don't know. There's a little bit of risk in that because when he does something silly, it's usually pretty silly. Nowadays, a leading goal scorer or last year in Washington, plays all situations, and he's fast and he's a big body. So. I wouldn't want to be playing against him. Now, conversely, Team USA, look at some of those guys, like the Chucks, or at least one of them. That's the type of body as well. It's going to give everybody all they can handle.
Yeah.
So.
So the other thing Pete DeBoer told us that he didn't say on your show, I know for sure,
Well, I think Scott was telling a story.
was that the NHL referees will be a big part of this,
Yes,
especially with NHL players, a certain amount of NHL players in the game. But it's still called internationally with the headshots and all of that. Does that factor in at all?
Absolutely.
About who you're
think
bringing.
That's so for me, that's curious, and based on my experience, for sure, Trout. I'll give you my World Juniors. Like when the World Juniors are called in North America, even though some of those international referees come over here, I always find that the I don't know how it's buttoned up differently when anything's played in Europe. So I'm curious to see how our guys, the National Hockey League guys, adapt to whatever that is, because you're right, like anything that looks like it's, when they gap up and it's really shoulder to shoulder but there's the follow through and it looks like he hits him right on the button and stuff like that, now you got to stoppage and play, and everything becomes a 5-minute major in international hockey, right? Those headshots, and then you got to sit for another 10 if it's not a game misconduct, all kinds of different things. So yeah, you got to make some adjustments that way. Hopefully it's not a factor.
Well, and one thing's gotten better was, so Todd Alushko he just said, granted, it was 20 years ago when he played for Mannheim. Yeah. And he said the problem was just back then, like what we called chintzy penalties were penalties, right? Yeah. And he said the diving was ridiculous, but the worst part was you started diving. So just, whatever. Now, that's not as prevalent. I mean, that almost bugs me more than, because you go in understanding about headshots. Like that's kind of now with the stop thing in minor hockey. Like it's understood it's a different game, right? That, okay, you're going to get penalized a different way. But I haven't seen as much of the games that just never get going and the chintzy calls are made.
Yeah, and I hope it doesn't get to that. I guess I would say that some of the rosters who don't have as much North American influence, i.e. NHL players, perhaps you might see a little bit of that. But honestly, in my travels nowadays, it's changed a lot over the years. Like Finland, Sweden, Germany's a great league. The Dell's a great league. And they play more of our style. It's not what we... I think 25 years ago, there was a little bit more that nudge, especially Czechia. Remember the old Czech Republic teams? Like you give them a little, and there's a lot of diving and stuff going on. I don't see that as being a thing anymore.
Books, was it an easier decision to keep Connor Bedard off this team 3 weeks ago than it is now?
Yeah, I mean, it is. So again, I'll go back to it. I don't rest on my laurels. Like I see, so points named to the team, for example, okay, and he's a hell of a player. I get it. But there are guys from that Four Nation team that have been, let's be honest, they've been average, even though they're proven winners, et cetera, et cetera. What we need and I need is our best for 2 weeks. And Connor Bedard put in the work in the offseason, right? Kudos to him. That half, like I'm going to do something on Sportsnet tonight on the desk. Like Mitch Marner is averaging 2 miles an hour slower in his bursts this year. And if you look at his game and his results, and now you look at Bedard, he's got like a half a mile quicker. Look how much more space he's creating. He's over 50% in the faceoff draw. His battle is better. All these things you look for, right? So yeah, he's right there, and he's outperformed other people, I guess is what I'm trying to tell you. And I always think back to when Sidney Crosby was left off the team several years ago. And I think this is going to be a great hockey team, but I don't want for us to just bring guys, because I want for us to bring our very best for a 2-week event where we're all playing at the top of the table and get the best possible result, period. I think that's the way it should be done.
We had Ray Ferraro on yesterday. I thought he made an interesting point, saying if I got a guy like Connor Bedard, who's my 13th or 14th forward, I'd rather have that on the sidelines than a guy that could chip a puck out in my own zone,
right,
late in the game.
Yeah,
I mean, is there a chance that you would look at this lineup with Connor Bedard off of the lineup and go, oh man, we needed more scoring?
Yeah, you don't want to have that problem for sure. So yeah, I think they're raised onto something there. Absolutely. If you got to pull a guy out of the weeds, you want to have a guy that's going to be a difference maker, even if he's a specialist. Let's just suggest for a second that their power play is struggling for whatever reason, and they want to make a change, or somebody gets nicked up or sick. Anything can happen over there, obviously. And now you get this guy you pull instead of a guy who in the 3 or the 4 who's going to work off the cycle and off the half wall. That's not going to matter as much.
So you think it can be Celebrini and Bedard?
Oh, 100%.
You do, eh?
Yeah, they're the top 3, 4, 5 scorers. Like, seriously, the other thing compared to, it's one thing I remember chatting with Ken Hitchcock. The evolution, as you well know, every kid comes out now really well coached, okay? It doesn't matter where they come out. So in some ways, if you just put the best players, like they're going to play the game the right way. You know what I mean? It's almost like, so when you start thinking about a checking line and whatever, well, ever since like best players kill penalties now, right? You know what I mean? It's just, it's all encompassing. So in some ways I'm saying is they're not a way, just who are the best players? You're here and we're going to figure it out versus, okay, there's Sorelli for a reason or whoever may be, there's two schools of thought, but I mean, the best player, okay, I'm not playing center. I'm going to play wing. Great. I'm going to be a great, like Four Nations face-off showed that.
Absolutely. And listen, Jeff Blashill has done a heck of a job in Chicago. I think we would all agree on that. He was Cooper's assistant there for, like, you don't think Coop's picking up the phone to say, hey, Blash, like, we really love the kid for what he can do here. What else can you tell me about how he's evolving? How's his preparation? Obviously, his preparation has been off the charts. I'm talking about Bedard here.
Right.
And, I think that a lot of that's going to be going on. And, it's an exciting time, though, because you can see that outside of the goaltending, which is we consider and talk for days about that. But outside of that, we have a nice little underbelly. There's an undercurrent of youth coming through the system because Schaefer's going to be around, Celebrini, Bedard, these types of players. And you start going down the line. And let's not forget that Connor Bedard in Halifax just a couple of years ago when they won gold there, he carried that team on his back. Like, it's not like he doesn't understand the task at hand. He's up to that challenge. And I would actually say even more than Bedard at this age, a little bit younger, like Celebrini, guys, like he's programmed. To me, he's the next Sidney Crosby. Like, that's how he's programmed. And I think that and Schaefer probably the same way too. So anyways, I digress. There's only so many spots. That's the thing. I look at Jarvis in his last 10-game segment, to your point, if you got to pull a guy in or out. If you look at that, his first, in his last 10 games that I scouted him, for his first 5, he had 2 apples. His next 5, he had a hat trick in there, five tucks, okay? The problem there for me, or the question I would ask is, can we afford for him to have donuts for a couple and then hope that something else happens later on? It's not because he's a bad player or anything else, but you got to ride the best of the best when you arrive on time, and we'll see what happens.
I want to pick your brain a little bit with your pro hockey group and your scouting background here when it comes to goaltending, and let's just keep that theme for a little bit. Should Canadian fans be a little bit more concerned, even with Binnington coming in and where his game is at and where it can be by February? The Americans seem to be producing more goalies than us, Jason. So, like, what's going on there? Like, what's the deal?
Well, it's a grassroots problem. I have to tell you guys that right out of the box. So the grassroots reality is that in Canada specifically, it's very expensive to play net. It's just the fact. And I would like to see minor hockey organizations step up to the table, whether it be in the registration fees or whatever the case may be, get a goalie sponsor and get these kids outfitted where parents can afford. There's a lot of kids that want to play net, but it's just a fact they can't afford to do it. That's one thing. So they start later. In the U.S., though, specifically, you look at that, like Spencer Knight, you Hellebuck, you can keep going down a whole bunch. Russia, by the way, has a goaltending. It started with Tretiak, but it's kind of filtered all the way through in different quadrants all over Russia. They have this, they pinpoint the best of the best, and they all bring them in 3 or 4 times a year, and they train their goaltenders together, and they work them all the way through the system. So from their minor sports level to the MHL, VHL, KHL, et cetera, and it just keeps turnstiling. We don't really have anything in place. They're still a little bit out on their own island that way, and this is what you get, right? Like Logan Thompson, let's not forget, he was playing university hockey at Brock not too long ago. Now we're talking about him being our Olympic starter potentially, and he deserves it, by the way. He deserves it.
Well, and Kippy, and that it just takes a star goaltender like Dominic Hasek did in 1998 can win the tournament, and that could be Sweden. Whatever. I mean, everything else you talk about gets trumped by the right bow or left bow or a goaltender that steals a game. And when you only have one game, you're screwed, you're out. And Jordan Binnington's a guy that did that last year, right? And he had his doubters, and, good on him, did it. USA could have all those guys and maybe end up picking the wrong guy. I don't know how much. The fact you get the preliminary games, you would think, because we talk about when Canada won gold medal, somebody else started to the chagrin of Curtis Joseph and Pat Quinn's relationship.
But I mean, and
then somebody else later, like, being in those tournaments, you get a better sense who the right guy is for that moment, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's the beauty of a preliminary round, getting you to the medal round. But then again, you want to shuffle the deck properly so your opponent is going to give you the best opportunity to at least be playing for a medal. I think they're well positioned across the board that way. I guess I would pose it back to you guys, and it comes back to a team building thing for me. If we are worried, if this is where we're going to be worried, or goaltending, let's just agree that we're probably looking at that, saying that's going to be the weakest part, potentially weakest part of our roster. Okay, biggest question mark. So what I would really like us to do then is challenge our opponent to keep the puck out of their net with our best of the best and really just press the whole time. Because some coaches, by habit, they get buttoned up when they're worried about something, whether it be, they only got 4D, not 6D that they can trust, or a goaltender who's struggling. So they button down their game. I would sooner challenge our opponents to keep it out of their net, win 6-4 if you have to. Do whatever you got to do. So we'll see.
Just to follow up a little bit on the goaltending, I don't know if it's just what's going on with goalies today in the NHL. There seems to be a lot of teams looking for them or just not happy with them. Is the philosophy of drafting a goalie 20 years ago or 30 years ago the same as it is today? Are they less reliable? Do they get hurt more? Like, what's going on there on that front? Because obviously, what's happening here in Toronto. Yep. There's two really good goalies who, when they're on, are almost as good as anybody out there in the league. But there's this small problem on they're not reliable to show up.
Yeah, there's a but at the end of the sentence, right? Two great goaltenders, but can they play every night? So I've been around the league now as a scout and doing what I do now for 23 years. And I can tell you very truthfully that the goaltenders 20 years ago, when it was just straight up butterfly and you didn't talk about all this other stuff they were doing, the paddle down. I remember when that came in and the reverse V and all kinds of different things. Their bodies now, if they get nicked up just a little bit or they feel like they're out of sequence, they take days off. Like, that's just a fact. That would never used to happen. Now, maybe I'm old school. The three of us probably are a little bit old school, that you got to play through some of this stuff, right? That's how I feel about it still. But having said that, it never entered into. So we drafted Spencer Knight in the first round at the Vancouver draft in Florida. Okay. And he's wiry, like a tall, wiry guy, really athletic. But it never factored into our thinking that he would ever not be durable. Now, he is durable, so don't get me wrong. But it never entered into our thinking. Now, there is a goaltender in this league playing on a high-end team who had 2 of those hip surgeries before he even made it to the National Hockey League. 2 of them. And it's almost like the Tommy John thing, when guys get Tommy John and they come back stronger. So he had that when he was in college. And I don't want to throw it out there because, I don't want people to, but yeah, it's a different thing. It's a problem. Like right here in Toronto, like last year, we all sat here and said they were so much more buttoned up, organized, and that structure in the net, the look was different. It wasn't it? Like Samsonov, remember Samsonov's 6'3", but he plays like he's 5'10" because he's so athletic and he loses his net. And as soon as you're big and you get outside the posts, you lose your size advantage because you got to travel back so much further. So you're not into it, right? These guys that they have are big, but they're not playing every night. So now Hildebee's huge too, but that's a lot for that guy to take on right now.
It's funny you mentioned about the Tommy John for kid pitchers nowadays. And I think it was Jean-Sebastien Giguère talked about it, the fact that, like, you're not standing up straight. Like, you're kind of even worse than a baseball catcher, that the pressure you put on your hips compared to decades ago, like that's just the ready position.
It's 6'7" pressure in Hildeby,
no, I know,
but it's 6'4", but it's not 5'9".
Yeah,
5'9" is less pressure.
And you're doing it constantly now, which that never used to be part of the DNA.
Yeah, no, it's like pistons in an engine, isn't it? When you call like that and your legs are taking what they're taking, so that part of the process. Let me go back to how you just the drafting process of goaltenders. I can tell you this for certain, that with the evolution of analytics in the game of hockey and the drafting and developing model, there's a lot of departments in the National Hockey League, the analytics departments, who think you don't ever have to draft a goaltender. And to a man, because when you do draft a goaltender, generally speaking, they don't arrive, and I'll go back to my Nashville days. Pekka Rinne didn't play his first game until he was 25, turning 26. Like, that was his first full-time NHL season. So a lot of organizations they don't want to wait 2 contract cycles for these guys to arrive, and then your analytics department are saying, and this is outside injuries and everything else, but they're saying, we can go get those guys in Europe. We can get those guys in Russia. We can get those guys in, out of college hockey, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not an exact science, the goaltending, but if you really believe in a guy and he's the best player available, then and he's a goalie, don't hold it against him. Go after it. Because when they arrive and they're really good, like where would Chicago be without Spencer Knight right now, too? You talk about everybody else being better there. They have a goalie now, right?
So Minnesota and Billy Guerin made a horrible mistake when they took Jesper Wallstedt in the first round, eh?
Jesper
Terrible, terrible mistake.
So can I tell Wallstedt's story here?
Yeah.
So when I first started watching Wallstedt, and you'll know about this kind of stuff, he was a double underage on the national team.
Okay.
So when he was on like 18, 17, when he was on the 17s, 18s, he was like 15, like late birthday. So he was always playing up, and up. And I remember going in there to watch him the first time, and I don't know if I was late to the dance out there or whatever, but I'm watching this kid in the net, this big goaltender, athletic, crease composure, like his off the charts. His composure was outstanding. He looked like a pro. He looked like he could play in the SHL. He was like 16 years old. So I don't know how anybody would have missed on him, to be honest with you. That was one right there. And obviously Minnesota didn't. They traded up 2 spots, guys. 2 spots to get him because they obviously felt, I don't know who was drafting right after.
Boston.
Boston was drafting right after them. So obviously they must have intel that the Bruins were going to grab the goaltender. And good on them. This kid's, he's the real deal.
Well, and Steve Yzerman moved up to get Sebastian Cossa.
Yeah.
That same draft ahead of him. And actually, Dallas took the pick and got Wyatt Johnston later with the pick. But
that's a fascinating one there, Gord, because Kossa's a giant, okay?
Yeah.
And he played in the Edmonton Oil Kings. He's a giant of a goaltender. But his athleticism compared to Kossa, like if you have to make a second save, like, okay, I square up. If I don't eat the puck and it spills, now I got to be athletic enough to make a second save. Wallsted's athleticism, and to this day, it's the same. I hope Kossa has a great career. But
having great stats in Grand Rapids.
Yeah. And maybe by the time he's 25, he'll get it, to my point earlier. But Wallsted's the real deal.
Wallstedt did struggle the last couple of years, too. It's not like there's been this...
it's never a straight line with those.
Never straight line.
Spencer Knight went into the program for some ADHD things. Like he had to mature off the ice with different things as well. Like I think the human factor in there, too, whether you're a goaltender or anybody else, we have to be cognizant of the fact that the journey isn't a straight line with these young guys.
Awesome stuff, man. Listen, under a pinch here, you pitched...
The microphone worked, too. You didn't have to come over.
Yeah, you pitched a perfect inning or two
I'm
here
happy
for Doug
to be
McLean.
here. Thank you very much. And thank you for opening the segment with that glowing compliment of my past scouting ability. It was awesome.
I made you laugh. That's the most important thing.
Great. I like it.
Jason Bukala in studio. Thanks for joining us. And
Thanks, guys.
we got Sammy after the break to bring it home on the Real Kyper Bourne Show. Don't go away. Welcome back in studio. Nick Kypreos, Sammy McKee in for Justin Bourne, our very own Gord Stellick. This hour of Real Kyper Bourne brought to you by Bet365.
And on that note, it's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So I was looking at, since we had the World Cup draw today, we had a heated discussion off the top of our show about it. It was really heated. You guys should go back. We're really after each other. But I started to look at who the favorite was to win the World Cup. So you can bet on that already. 6 months away. But the favorite to win the World Cup right now is Spain at plus 450. Coming in at second is England at plus 550. And Italy, who hasn't even qualified.
They're back, baby.
They are plus, so there's 33-1. So they are in the top 11 teams that are favored to win the World Cup without having actually qualified yet. They still have to go through their qualifier. So pretty interesting stuff there. Can't say I love that for Canada. Canada is 250-1 to win the World Cup. So that gives you a pretty good example.
Are we in top 30? No.
I don't really know where we are. We were always floating around there, but we're better than we used to be. So thought that's interesting. Give me England at plus 550.
Oof.
I feel like one of these times.
We'll see if you change your mind.
No, I'll be cheering for Canada because I'm a Canadian. That was game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
If you're just joining our program now, I don't know what's out there in terms of any Olympic updates, but I did mention that the NHL and the PA are in regular correspondence with the double IHF and IOC. Heard that there was a Zoom call again, a meeting today between all four parties, and the NHL and the PA have been assured that the building will be ready and done.
Okay, can I follow up with that?
Yes.
Ready and done by when? So that they can test it? Like, are they, like, is it a...
Sam, lots of talk about plan Bs and if there's anything out there that, they should be looking at. And the feeling was, no, it's way too late beyond that. And we heard from Bill Daly a little earlier. I don't know who quoted him or where the report was.
I think it was Matt Larkin from
Yeah,
the Hockey News.
yeah. Okay, so it was basically if it's not ready, we're not going.
Yeah.
So him saying that, okay, I'm playing devil's advocate now. So
Pressure.
what other answer could they give? Because if things were in a state of peril, they could say we have to look at alternate arrangements, but they know there are no alternate arrangements. So on the Zoom call, what else can they say? But we're going to be ready. I hope they are. Whatever.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
I don't know whether they provided schedules or not, or
what if it said it's looking dicey? What do they do? Do we send over troops?
Yeah, we send the Bajoni brothers who built my
whatever.
house.
Yeah.
Right?
We got so many people. Just make a few phone calls and get people over, whatever, to get just get the job done right.
You got to curl with a couple guys to be able to go over there and get the rink done.
Lots. Well, you remember the Sky Dome? Like it was the 11th hour getting done, and to me, this is a bigger international magnitude. But they still, were like hammering things the day of getting it done. But anyway, we got to hope, right?
Got to hope. All right.
I mean, I'm sure they give him. I'm sure the NHL would give him a drop dead date where if this thing isn't ready, we're not going to go. Like they're not going to haul all these $1 billion worth of hockey players over there and have them step on the ice and be like, oh no, this isn't good. They're not going to make them travel all the way over there. Like there's going to be a day where they say again, it's got to be done or not.
It's got to be done, but if it hasn't been tried and tested, it could start off as ice and end up in a week slush.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Well, that's
the danger here.
Those old exhibition games you may have played in the odd one, like in the Vegas parking lot that was slush, right? Way back when. I might again, but there's obviously safety concerns. John Tavares was injured in the 2014 Olympics, and the Islander owner wasn't too happy about it, and so that's another level, right?
There's always the danger of like heavy construction, and then a ball gets trapped in the fence, and a puck gets trapped in the boards, and you can't pull it out.
Yeah.
Hey, Sammy?
Well, that's unacceptable.
But if you still have runners on second and third and nobody out, you got to get them home. Okay? Ball under the fence or not under the fence.
Oh, my God.
Rule broken. We said no baseball talk.
That was so brutal, that game.
He's just carried
second and third, nobody out, and your game was over in 3 swings of the bat. Oof.
Yeah.
That was tough.
Okay, goalie interference kind of took a bit of a beating last night from at least the head coach of Colorado, Bednar.
Well, yeah, and then I know John Cooper was a different one as well, but two actually, isn't Bednar number 2 seniority with his team? I think he is after Cooper. That's hard to say.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So the two most senior coaches of the 32 teams.
Do we have any sound of that,
we
Sammy?
We do have Bednar. We do have Bednar, and we do have Cooper too, but we'll start with Bednar.
If it's not goalie interference, I don't know what is. You can't just shove the goalie's pads out of the way and then create a loose puck. I'm getting them all wrong when I'm looking at the challenges around the league. So, I'm kind of out of my mind. I'm not going to challenge unless it's obvious. But to me, it was obvious.
It's tough visual when there's like 6 guys there hacking away at the goalie. I don't know. I think it was goalie interference. I think he's right.
Well, it's really hard though.
Yeah.
It is for he's a head coach. He's been there. You said second longest right now in the NHL, and if he can't figure it out, how's an average fan watching the game at home going to figure out whether it's a good goal or not?
Yeah, and also if the puck's loose and whatever, there's a right to go for the puck, right? I do think if you can stay out of the blue paint, because some of those where guys have embellished or taken liberties has kind of bit them in the ass that they went in the blue paint. But it's supposed to be the call on the ice is what needs to be overturned. So Ty goes to call on the ice. And also that word, I don't necessarily, you want to get it right. It doesn't mean egregious all the time, but just it's got to be definitive. So, yeah, there's always going to be the human element, always.
Okay, so the call on the ice is such a deciding factor in these things. Is there ever a way, I don't know where I heard this, but is there ever a way to do the reviews where the people who are reviewing it don't know what the call on the ice is? Because it's always like these it happens all the time in baseball where the ruling on the field is not, they go so by the book because of that. But it just feels like there's so many times where that tie goes to whatever was called on the ice, but maybe it's not a tie and they're wrong and they're just deferring to it. It always drives me crazy with the reviews.
Well, first of all,
in every sport.
That'd be a boring night for whoever's doing it.
Well, they'd
be asleep in a hermetically sealed booth.
But then you lose the ability to say it's inconclusive
Correct.
to us.
So we got to do one or the other.
We have to go to the referee on the ice. I don't know. And you should know what that call is.
Yes, yeah, agreed. The same thing if you're going to, the heavyweight belt, a tie, you retain the belt. Whatever. The Ryder Cup, a tie, you retain the Ryder Cup. So, there's always a fallback. So.
Anytime you're in the blue paint, you run the risk of having your goal disallowed no matter what. And I think if you just kind of live by that rule and, man, you roll the dice. You step into that blue paint, you roll the dice.
I don't know how sick Doug McLean is, but this guy just won't stop texting me about the show. I thought he only listened to us when he was on.
Doug McLean's texting you? I thought he was too sick to text.
All right. Yeah, he was upset about our love fest the first hour for the Leafs. He's texting me. Or it could be an outdoor game when the sun is out. I don't even know what the hell that is he's even talking about.
He's talking about.
I love listening to you when I'm on.
He's talking about no roof on the rink.
Yeah, I get it. Now I know what you're talking about. Did you want to hear John Cooper?
Yeah, I want to hear John Cooper because we had another controversial goal last night in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, let's hear John Cooper. We could do that.
Can you take us through the end there with the hand pass? It seemed like it was a little bit of confusion. What was your explanation there at the end?
Well, again, so you have to I guess there's a couple things. Okay, did he mean to do it or was it deflected? Was there an advantage gained or not? And you could really debate whether an advantage was gained. Did Brandon Hagel direct that puck knowing exactly where it was going? No. Would you sit here today and say Brandon Hagel was maybe protecting his face from a puck hitting it or protecting some part of his body? If I threw this microphone at you right now, would you put your hand up to stop it? Hell yeah, you would. All right? So there's a spirit of the rule. Was that the spirit of the rule?
Practice that one
for him taking it in the face? Okay, let me do that. And I think that's where we get that wrong. And that's not what happened. And he didn't direct any pucks. That was a bang play. There were tons of guys around it. Turned out we got it first. A lot of the game developed after that, and then a puck went in the net. So is that a really frustrating one for me? It is. I think you read the rule book, which we did, and then you try and dissect what happened in the play, and then you take it all into consideration. It's laughable that got overturned.
Gord, if I took one of these bricks here and threw it at your head right now, it's
a big target.
What would you do?
Was John Cooper a lawyer at one point or something?
John,
it's almost like he's good at this stuff.
Yeah, I would hire him.
So
he's right, though. I actually agree with him.
Right now, yeah, I think we're all on John Cooper's page here.
Well, about the first part. But when you read the rule, it doesn't have to be if you unintentionally still get an advantage.
You cannot touch the puck with your hand in any way, shape, or form and then have it go to one of your teammates.
Yeah.
It's blown dead.
And get an advantage. So
which is stupid in itself.
Why is it stupid in itself? It's the rule.
I know, but a puck can touch my ankle, it can touch my knee, it can touch my pants, it can touch any part of my body, right?
Yeah.
My shoulder, my chest, but it can't touch my glove.
You might as well play handball then.
No.
Because if you're batting it down, it's one thing.
Okay.
But if you're doing this.
I'm okay with that.
No, I agree with you.
I'm okay with that. But we're not talking about a bat. And we're not talking about directing the puck. We're talking about a touch. A simple touch.
But then you're opening it, doing the directing, but trying to look like you're not directing.
Do it then. Do it. We do it with feet. We do it with skate. We have a distinct kicking motion. Why can't we just have a distinct passing motion?
Because there's just so much gray area
There's
already
gray with your
these
feet
rules.
already.
That's
No,
what I mean.
there's gray with the feet
Yeah.
on a distinct kicking motion. Just put in the rule book that your hands are the same as your feet, and there's no distinctness. You cannot purposely pass a puck with your hand.
But you can
But
whack
if
the
it
puck way
inadvertently
more
touches
than
you,
kicking it.
whacking
Way more.
it is, again, there's intent on whacking a puck or pushing it. Touching it, if you're defending your face or your body, play on, guys. Play on.
But I can kick the puck to you, but I can whack the puck 10 yards down there if I'm allowed to whack the puck
So
with my hand in me.
your point is that they got the call right, but the rule is stupid.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I agree with
Yes.
you. That's I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Loosen up on it. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
I don't want to see hand passes. You're right. We're not
Mhm.
playing handball.
But we do want to see more goals, and that's why they that's
we
why
do.
they altered.
And it was a terrific goal. It was a terrific moment that would have tied the game, and you lost it.
Because what was it,
on a
15 years
video
ago? They
review.
changed it to had to be only a definitive kicking motion.
Yeah.
Because anything before just directing with your skate, whatever, disallowed goals. So they had basically said
just-
it's become a play now.
Do a hand motion. Just
So,
okay.
you
And,
could- you
and
could
the-
look at
and the
that.
referee can figure out whether or not your intent was to
that's something to look
protect
at.
yourself.
But the
or-
way it's written now,
Yes.
even though he had a great explanation, but the way it's written now, I can see why that ruling applied. Because it doesn't matter, just as long as you get a perceived advantage in any way, shape, or form from a hand play, even accidental with your puck, even me or Brandon Hagel trying to stop something from going in my face. What are you looking at? You're doing your thing now.
Why did you bring multi-purpose hand?
No, Sammy. I
Wipes.
didn't bring them. These were here.
They were
mine.
here.
They were
Sammy.
mine. eh?
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause
I thought they were
I don't
for
know.
you.
I'm starting to think you're looking at me like I'm one big germ.
No.
I think those are maybe for Feuds,
Oh, I guess, yeah.
the
Under the
German
weather.
man.
Oh yeah. Well, he's feeling better though.
Yeah, he's feeling better. We got a few texts. Somebody texted in, said Justin needs to send his Jiffy guys to the Olympic arena so it can get done.
Listen, they've been working on his house for
Holy, he lives
2
in a
years.
shanty. He lives in a shanty.
For 2 years, they've been working
Was
on
he had a
JB's
2-year
house.
renovation?
Yes.
Oh.
The Revs, okay, this one's from
Well, at
Keith.
least the commercial, according to the commercials, they're always fixing something
Yeah.
at his house.
Lots of people weighing in on calls. The Revs have to call the ice in real time while on the ice. Or they call the game in real time while on the ice. Anytime there is a review, they should be watching it at regular speed on the screen. 90 seconds look at as many angles as you want and to determine the outcome. I'm tired of them slowing it down frame by frame from Keith and Langley. I love that. Because I agree. I think if you sit there and look at something long enough in multiple slow-mo angles, you can convince yourself of anything on a play.
No, you're getting it right. You slow it down, you're getting it right. You slow it down, you got a better chance
Well, that's
to get it
that's
right.
the magic words. Getting
Get
it
it right.
right.
That's what they're doing it for. You got the technology.
Even though
So
it's
and
killing us all waiting.
well, okay, that's a whole different element. But you got the tech. So
Yeah.
everyone at home and the referees also want it. Okay, after that San Jose Vegas schmozzle,
boy.
the ability to look back, they want to get it right as well because they don't want to look bad.
They should speed it up though, like a Charlie Chaplin movie.
Agreed. Some of them go quick, but every now and then, Charlie Chaplin movie. Jeez. We got the Three Stooges guy calling in and a Charlie
These are very
Chaplin movie.
topical references today.
God.
Okay, this one's
Remember how fast they used to make those
I
old
know.
movies?
Yeah.
That's the way they should do their video review.
Or you put a nickel in at the X and you crank the thing.
Nico, could you please tell that Mungie Cake Sammy to stick to his daily conniptions over the Leafs and leave us Italian Canadian paisans alone? So there you go. You can tell me to leave me alone.
They're coming on my side.
Yeah. You
Right?
guys, yeah.
It was about World Cup soccer.
We're a
loyalty to
melting
start the
pot
show.
here in this country, Sammy.
I know. What else we got here?
Actually, that's the States.
Oh, okay.
Melting pot. Yeah. Or whatever they are. But that's their theory.
What do you got for us, Sammy?
At the trade deadline, do the Leafs revisit Braden Shen from Oakville Luke?
Yeah, they can, but they cannot. Like, obviously, we talked, Gord, about lack of assets.
Yeah.
Cupboard's a little empty.
Yeah.
If Doug Armstrong wants to do a little bit of a favor for Brad Treliving and figure out how to do it without costing too much, I don't think it can hurt.
Well, I mean, you're looking, okay. Again, we're going to see what Troy Stetcher ends up being. But you can I remember Stevie Thomas went to Anaheim trade deadline. He was phenomenal. Like I just mean like some of these little ones, because that's it. They can't go big anymore. There's no ability to go big anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's it gonna be that they trade for him? I mean, it's.
But there's such a demand for center ice right now between him, Ryan O'Reilly, Kadri, of course, is at the top of the list.
But the thing is, the Leafs set the market in the Brendan Carlo trade that when you take somebody who has term, it's a first-round pick and a young asset like Fraser Minton. So I don't know what the market will actually be, but that's the template right now that every team is looking for, it seems, in making that kind of trade.
Which team in Canada has right now, like Ottawa lost the other night. I don't know what's going on with Pinto. He left the game with an injury, but like who's got the most concern for you right now? Is it Toronto? Toronto's out of it a little bit.
Yeah,
Edmonton with a big win, 9 goals.
Well, Edmonton and Toronto last night looked like, okay, that's what's supposed to be 2 of the top 6 teams or whatever they are in the NHL. It's been
Jets.
Well, it's been kind of baffling, right, to only have one Canadian-based team usually in the playoffs. I'm not sure today, but I think, yeah, the Jets are one that I wonder about. Like, I may be a little too sweet on them, but Edmonton's going to be there. Toronto's going to be there. Montreal and Ottawa, I think, are there. I'm talking about the playoffs. And then after that, I mean, Vancouver and Calgary are kind of accepting there's a good chance they won't be there.
five teams in the playoffs.
Yeah. And Winnipeg would make 4 if they're not in. So you got Calgary, Vancouver say not in, again, at this particular point.
Yeah.
And then if Winnipeg, then who I've always been sweet on, but that would be 4. It's a very, because they're out, Winnipeg, Vancouver.
I know, but when it's all said and done, do you think 5? You think including Winnipeg?
I'll still say 5. Yeah. I'll still go with 5.
That's
you got 5?
That'd be music to a lot of people's ears right now.
Yes, a lot of people here.
I was just going to say here, with the tall and daunting task of picking Team Canada, does Doug Armstrong now look at matchups as a tiebreaker, namely against the U.S. from Omar and East Van? So when you're going up against the States, if you're going to have to beat them, if it's a tiebreaker, is that something you're going to look at because it's a short tournament? That's what he's getting at.
Well, I think that's a kind of a foregone conclusion if you're Canada, that you're thinking about matching up against the U.S. Right? I mean, that's
are you
that's
thinking or
four nations.
Overthinking? Like where does the thinking become overthinking?
Not to get ahead of yourselves, but I'm sure when you think about the first 9 seconds, you're thinking about who in my lineup is going to face the Tkachuk brothers and.
Well, yeah, but they'd all be suspended now, all 6 of those players. The IHF, the international rules, but the physicality is going to be a part of it. Yeah.
I'm talking about, tit for tat, shots, rabbit punches here and there, stick work, all of that.
Remember Ovi's hit on Jágr in 2010? Remember that? Like, wow. There's an element of that in the Olympics as well. That was quite a hit.
Yeah. All right, boys.
What's on tap at the Stellick Tricity House this weekend?
Oh, the Chisholm Curling Bonspiel at the Cricket Club. Okay. The biggest men's bonspiel going on. I'm going to be watching hockey as well, Toronto, Montreal, and all the other action. What about you, Kyper?
Yeah. Is your tree up already?
It's going to be up this weekend, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I got curling tomorrow too, Gordo.
Do you really?
Yeah, I curl every Sunday morning at the High Park Curling Club.
Oh, nice.
Saturday morning, sorry.
You always said you were going to try, Kid.
Yes.
I'm starting to get it.
We should
I'll
try.
I'll come out with you.
Okay. Not tonight because it's a
No,
bonspiel,
not tonight.
but some
Not
other
tonight.
time.
Our thanks to Jason Bukala, who joined us in studio today. Who else do we have?
Just us, bud.
Oh, and then just you, Gord.
Yeah.
Just you for coming in.
Thank you.
Filling in.
I mean, you're welcome.
For our Justin Bourne.
Always a pleasure. Sammy, he was my stellar producer, whatever, for a couple of years, and now you turned him into a grown-up man.
Have a great weekend, everybody. See you Monday.